What's going on, everyone? I'm coming at you with some more One Piece gameplay. Today's matchup, Katakuri against Iceburg. I'm actually really excited to show this video to you guys because this is something that I've been working on, theory crafting myself to make Iceburg a leader that can at least, have some presence. And I think with Whitebeard being gone, I think Purple might be a deck that might have some more presence in the meta. Because it has a lot of removal for small bodies, as well as it has a lot of big bodies that are hard to deal with. Do I think that Iceberg is the answer? Probably not, but this version of the deck is really fun to play, and it has a lot of answers to, pretty large board states. And you can spawn on a bunch of bodies, and if your opponent can't respond to that, or they don't have a ton of removal, their only removal is to, swing at your characters. So if you keep your 2Ks and your counters for your characters and not for your life, then you're feeling pretty good. So we're gonna go second here, and we're gonna go ahead and play our Poly, Tilestone off the top here, using the leader effect. And ideally here, I think with this deck you want to go second because it lets you use leader effect and play your stage on the turn 2, which, if you have the stage, it's always nice. Our opponent did just swing at us. We're going to go ahead and play a Kokoro off the top here. Look at the top 5 cards for a card. And I'm just thinking here what we want to grab. I think we end up grabbing the Raw Bellucci. But yeah, so Raw Bellucci is what we're going to grab here. It's pretty solid. I do think it's pretty good in the deck. We're going to rest him, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to play the Poly, and we're going to active a Dawn here. That Dawn is going to be completely active. And then we're going to swing 6 at leader here with Tilestone. And we actually just want our opponent to swing at this Tilestone here because it lets us play King next turn. And just basically played out 2 bodies, ramped a Dawn back. So Poly kind of did the same thing as the stage would have done here. So he's going to swing 6 at us, and we're thinking about protecting it, but I think we opt to just let it go and let the Dawn ramp here, because next turn we're going to be able to play a King, so we'll be able to answer this Cracker that our opponent's about to play. So, Yellow having a lot of predictability with their turns, if they have 4 Dawn, they're going to want to play a Smoothie or a Cracker, is super beneficial to us. So we're going to go ahead and play the King to pop the Cracker, and then we're going to use our leader effect to play a Raw Bellucci, sorry, Tilestone here, and then we're going to play a swing with Poly, 6 at leader here. Our opponent is going to take that life, and then we're going to pass turn back to our opponent. So Iceberg, we have a pretty wide board here. We have 2 pretty threatening bodies in King and Tilestone untapped. And then our only body that isn't tapped is Poly. If our opponent goes ahead and plays a 7-cost Big Mom here, it's going to be really awful for them because we're going to be at 3 life, but we're going to have 3 pretty massive swings at our opponent. And so even if they play that 7-cost Big Mom, it's going to be too slow. So yeah, they'll have that body on board. However, we're going to have a huge advantage just pummeling their life here. And so they're going to be forced to, use blockers, as well as, pitch a lot of cards from their hand. So I think our opponent's going to go ahead and swing 5 here at life. We're going to take that here, and they're going to play a Parasparrow, and then they're going to follow that up with the Charlotte Cracker here. Again, that's kind of the best case scenario for us, not withheld, because we have another King in our hand. And I don't think our opponent realizes this, but the other King is really going to deal with that Cracker they just played, and it's going to pop it. And then because we have such a wide board now, there's a couple of different plays that we can make. Unfortunately, without the stage, we're not ramping as much as we'd like to be ramping. However, we're still going to have some big swings here of 6k at life, which our opponent's going to counter out of the Tilestone swing, and then they're going to take the Poly swing. We're then going to swing 7k with our King, and they're going to opt to block that. And then we're going to use leader effect to pop the Kokoro, and we're going to play the Raw Bellucci. Raw Bellucci is going to let us have some board control, and because our opponent's only on a 9 Dawn turn, we're looking to put them as much pressure on as possible so our opponent can't safely play a 10-cost Big Mom without being heavily punished for it. We know that if they play a 10-cost Big Mom at this point in the game, they're going to be so heavily punished on their next turn. So the real options are only to play a Katakuri here, or a 7-cost Big Mom. But even 7-cost is pretty heavily punishable because it only have 2 Dawn active, and we have so many swings here that we'll be able to counter out of everything at our characters. Even if they swing 8k at one of them, we have enough counter in hand to protect it. So they have to think about what they can do to get rid of stuff here, and take out bodies if they want to. So we're just trying to weather the storm at this point and put ourselves in a position where, if they don't answer this board next turn, we just win the game. And This is a pretty tough board to deal with because these kings are actually extremely threatening at 7k. And our opponent does have a fair bit of cards in hand, which is, you know, it's great for them, but any blocker that they play here is pretty useless. They're going to swing 6 at Poly, and we absolutely do not want to let that go. So we're going to 1k counter out with a Rob Lucci. Because we have one on board, and, you know, again, yellow's removal isn't super great. It's either like Thunderbolt, or it's a Katakuri, or it's a Buzzcut Mochi. Definitely lacking that removal for the color makes it pretty predictable to play against it. And so once you figure out how to play against yellow and what it can and can't do, it makes it feel like a lot stronger when you can build a board like this and your opponent can't do a lot of plays, because yellow is pretty tight on their plays. And yeah, like, trashing life is pretty impactful with their 7-cost Big Mom. However, like, if you can play a lot of characters and you can protect them, it's really hard for yellow to come back from that. So we're going to see a 5k swing at life here. We're going to opt to take that. And we're just kind of thinking about triggering it, which we will, because it's going to ramp a Dawn for us. And then they're going to play a Katakuri here, which is going to put the king at the bottom. That swing kind of told me that they're going to do that. So now we still have 4 swings, and there's a couple of different plays that we do have here. We could go at life, or we can clean up the board. We can kill the Parasparrow here. So we're going to swing 7 at Parasparrow, and it's going to die. And they're going to look at their top 3, and they're going to grab I think they grabbed the Strucin, but we're going to swing 6 at life here. They're going to counter out. We're going to swing 6 again at life here. And we're going to swing 6 again at life here, forcing our opponent to kind of just play around that. And so now we're going to pay 5, and we're going to play a Queen, which is going to refill our hand, hopefully grab us some counter. And then we're going to pitch a Rush Kaido, which we don't think that we're going to need here. And we're going to minus the Dawn for the Queen here. And that's our turn. So we're feeling in a pretty commanding position. Again, our opponent has 1 life active, or 1 life left. They have 2 characters. We have 5 characters, including a blocker. So, and we have 2 Dawn active. So we know that if we're in a position where our opponent wants to try and commit swings at our board, we can just Hell's Judgment them potentially, and that's a threat that yellow has to respect. Hell's Judgment's really good at protecting multiple bodies, especially when they're 6Ks, because your opponent has to get to 6K. So if you're looking at like Katakuri is going to require a Dawn investment, the leader is going to require at minimum 3 Dawn committed to swing over something realistically. So that's a huge amount of their turn just already eaten up by just having the Hell's Judgment in hand potentially. So our opponent's going to swing 8 at leader, 8 at the Luigi, sorry, and we're going to pitch 2 2Ks, 2K and a 1K to protect it, sorry. It does go to 9K with those, so not 2 2Ks. And that play doesn't really tell us a ton, but we're going to see a 7K swing at Rob Lucci here, and again, we just protect that with a 2K every time. Our opponent still has 9 Dawn active. They want to see our top life, and we are playing with like the regional rules because our opponent is practicing, so they want to practice with like the online rules where the life just stays revealed, basically. And so it is a Shiki on top, so if he did want to like trash my life or anything, that's fine. He's gonna play a 7-cost Big Mom. We're gonna trash that life. That's completely fine, because this turn we have so much aggression on the board that there's not really a chance that our opponent has to come back from this. So there's a couple of options that we have when it comes to swings. So we're going to go ahead and swing 9K with our Tilestone here. This swing is good because it forces out Nakaku Sovereignty if they do have one. It's a Charlotte Brûlée, so what we're going to do is we're going to swing 6 at leader, and we're going to -1 by resting the Charlotte Brûlée. And at that point, it's just too many swings and too much Dawn active, and that's just going to be the game. So Iceburg's going to be taking it, and first up on the channel, and against one of the top decks in the format. So I think the changes and the build that I did for Iceburg really made a difference. I'm showing you the deck list right now for Iceburg, and I think this is probably the best version of it. Let me know what you think. I think this is the one that you're going to see the most success with if you want to play this leader. But it's basically like you're playing Kaido that can play a ton more bodies, but not board wipe. So it's going to be good against decks like Zoro because you can clear their bodies. It's going to be really vulnerable to decks like Ace or decks like Black, who can do a lot of removal or get out a lot of unkillable blockers because they kind of dodge your removal. But until next time, Monty out.